for founders out there who are looking to set up their first outsource office or first team member, what is your takeaway tip for them? Would you say they start small? Would you say they go gung-ho and buy an office space and pack it with 20 people and off we go? What's your advice? How do they dip their feet in? How do they get started?
Yeah, so I would definitely try to, which is what I did. I went to some of the outsourcing platforms that was like not the biggest ones in the world, that had more local talent, where you could also find a little guy who lived in a cottage hut in the countryside of his country in Southeast Asia. I find that many of the big platforms, they are both very competitive from the candidate side. The candidates are overpricing themselves because they have the idea that, oh, the world is getting smaller with the internet, and I can price myself as they do in the United States, for example.
Do they quote you in dollars?
Oh, many times they quote in dollars. But
I find that so confusing. Like, I'll be speaking to somebody in a different country. Their country is not dollar based. I'm pound based. Why are you quoting me in dollars? We have to do this two-way conversion.
And then and also from the people who are looking for talent, many of the big platforms will just be completely harvested for good talent. Like, it's very difficult to find because the competition for finding the good talent is just so big there. But there are you just need to go to Google page 2 and 3. You just don't pick page 1. And if you go to these pages, you will find very big platforms with tens of thousands of candidates who are ready to work and sign up already today. And spend just, if you spend 1 hour familiarizing yourself with the culture that you are applying to or trying to get candidates from. What are the local holidays? What kind of bonus structure would they expect if they got out and got a real job in their environment? And then tell them that you spent some time familiarizing yourself with these matters. They would extremely appreciate that, and it would be so much more likely for you to both sign them up and keep them for a long time, and for them to recommend their friends.
Great advice. And in terms of some of the nitty-gritty, how many interviews would you recommend people conduct? Do you provide test projects to these outsourced employees to kind of get an idea of their competency? What's your advice around that?
Yeah, so Candio is obviously a little bit different because we are an assessment company ourselves. So we don't give test projects as per se, but we give one of our own assessment tests for candidates, so they can both get a feel for the product, as well as so we can see, is this a good candidate or not. Then we usually have a few interviews with them, and I rarely decide about any job unless I have 3 qualified candidates that I have a good feeling about, all 3. However many interviews that will take with however many candidates. So that can sometimes be 3, and it can sometimes be 30. And hiring is just time consuming, and it is finding needle in haystacks. But you always need to remember, like, for every hour you put into prep and hiring, it will save you tens of thousands of dollars on the other side.